All right, first and foremost, your impressions of how the talks are going thus far. The president has met with the Governors Forum, with the leaders of the labour unions, with civic bodies, and so far no clear settlement, but some compromises such as reintroducing the fuel subsidy until April, for instance.
Yes, we are hearing snippets of what is coming out from the negotiation room. And one is quite reluctant to say anything on the issues relating to the negotiations, so that one does not undermine the outcome one way or the other. But I know that both sides have still maintained rather stuck to their positions, and they are showing some signs of flexibility here and there.
I like the word you're using, flexibility, because many people are saying in removing the fuel subsidies, the government hadn't shown the necessary flexibility. The action was to a large extent unilateral and not well timed. Had the government acted legally?
Well, the position of the bar is that the government acted rather hastily, and that they were in some ways very insensitive to the insecurity situations in Nigeria. Apart from that, the issues relating or surrounding the subsidy removal were still being discussed. And so it took everybody rather by surprise, especially when the government had not established the genuineness of their claims to the removal of the subsidy.
Now, obviously, I know you don't want to get too much into the negotiations because they're underway, but one of the proposals is we will withdraw, but by the middle of this year, we will reinstate our decision to remove the fuel subsidy by as much as 80%. As the government considers these ways forward, what are the legal elements it has to keep in mind so that they don't find themselves in this situation?
I think that the options open to government are not as limited as they make it out to be. We on this side think that government can save quite a lot of money if they cut a lot of wastage in government and confront corruption frontally. Yes, it makes sense to work on the removal of subsidy in an instrumental basis, that is, find some percentage, but not as high as 80%. Left you, if you allowed me to hazard a suggestion, maybe about 25%, and that 25% will be applied to specific projects. And those projects such as ensuring that the refineries come back on stream, so that by the time it is ripe for another percentage portion to be taken off, one would have seen what the subsidy has achieved. But I think these are matters in which both sides will take into consideration.
So a measured approach is what you're saying. It was reported, Mr. Daudu, that all things falling apart could strengthen the case for an application to impeach the president. Firstly, would you respond to the reports that the National Bar Association would consider making this move? And secondly, what would that process entail if indeed you were to go ahead?
Now, ordinarily the procedure for impeachment is well laid down in the Constitution. But if the matter is settled, and settled in such a way that everybody is happy, we think that we could put that aside and learn from the experience. But it was one of the options on the card because people were really very incensed, especially the bar, that the president would take the steps he took rather peremptorily.
All right. And then finally, obviously, a lot of people are saying these protests are not just about the fuel subsidy. They're about general systems of bad governance in Nigeria, accountability, transparency in managing fiscal resources, and democracy in general. Do you think that the democratic ethic in Nigeria is under threat, the constitution is under threat, and that after this there's going to have to be a real review of the entire legal and constitutional process in the country?
Absolutely. I couldn't put it better than you have put it. The real issues at stake are matters of good governance and wastage in government. And surely when corruption has reached the extent to which we assess it has reached in Nigeria, then the constitution and every other structure of democracy is under assault. And we think that this is the right point from which government should make a U-turn, examine its internal workings, and now strengthen the democratic structures. But even if it doesn't, the awareness caused by this process will ensure that people will continue to demand for accountability and transparency in government from this moment henceforth.